one-time thing. To be honest, we face all kind of issues, concerns, challenges, roadblocks, and things of that nature. But we have to shift from a mindset of always surviving to a mindset of living. We were meant to live, not to just endure, not to just overcome, but to really enjoy all the facets of our lives. And if I can say anything that resonates to you today, my message to you is cycle through what you need to do to survive so you can get to a place where you can really truly live and enjoy the existence that God has blessed you with. So Miss Gloria?
Yes.
Welcome to the table.
Thank you.
And I'm honored.
Thank you.
I'm always honored to be in the presence of our mothers. I think it's so beautiful. Your spirit resonated with me on social media.
Well, thank you.
And we've been doing all of these love exchanges and all of this different stuff like that. So it's amazing. And I didn't realize Chris was your son.
Yes.
I went to school with Chris.
Oh, really?
I did. So tell Chris I said
I
hey.
most certainly will. Yep, my firstborn.
Yes, but I went to school with Chris.
Mm-hmm.
The reason we're here, the honoring of survivors, you've been on a mission, and your story surrounds breast cancer. Mm-hmm. And I see you all, I told you that hat. You represent it. Even your purse, I saw your purse. And your earrings, so adorable.
Yes.
But clearly, you have taken on the cause.
Yes.
And you understand the importance of educating our people. So let's start a little bit about you, because we just talked about your grandbaby, but I think you have other grandkids.
Yeah, I have a grandson. He's 13, will be 14 in January.
Okay.
And he's the son of my youngest son who passed away in 2017.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we honor his absence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So how many children total?
2.
And you have the 2 grandchildren?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what do you do now in your beautiful years, your golden years?
I retired in 2018 after 38 years for working for the state of the Florida Palm Beach County Health Department.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I was at the health department.
Which one?
Riviera Beach?
No, I was downtown.
Downtown?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was so
Yes.
still remember you.
Yeah.
I
And
know I would
before
have.
I was on Broadway at the AIDS clinic when
Okay.
it was over there before they built the bridge.
You said 38 years?
38 years. I started at 23. I said, I'm going to be here a year.
And you put a whole career.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could do anything for 38 years.
I thought I did. When I look back, I'm like, oh my God. No, I did. Well, I started out in child support enforcement.
Okay.
And then I went to the health department.
So I'm
after
sure
8
you're
years.
the one, like, everybody come to your desk, sit down and talk to you. Miss Gloria, I need to talk to you about something.
Exactly. Exactly. And I still get phone calls.
I know. I'm sure.
Yes, yes.
But that is the social service realm is one of the ways to truly impact people's lives. You watch babies grow up and people like really in crisis, so it's an amazing journey.
Yes, it is.
So now what do you do now? You don't get the crazy calls and people.
Well, when I retired in 2018, my little granddaughter, who she's all over Facebook.
Yes.
I started keeping her.
Okay.
Yeah, so I started babysitting her, and now she's in daycare because she's almost 3, soon to be 3.
Okay. So it's that time to make that transition.
Right, and they're expecting another one next month.
So you pick right back up again.
And they already, I'm like,
You're not going to do that. You pick it right back up.
No, maybe.
Yes. Miss Penny is beautiful. I said she has her own social media following.
She do.
It's amazing.
She do.
So very beautiful. So let's talk about your story a little bit, because I like several other people on the platform. This one in particular, I know of their story, but I only know you survived.
Right.
So tell us about it.
Well, my story, next month will be 10 years for me.
Wow.
That I've been cancer free. But to truly tell you, my story started back in 1993.
Okay.
And that's when my sister was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she was a registered nurse, and she also worked for the health department also. And unfortunately, her battle only lasted 3 years. So in 96 of January, she lost her battle with breast cancer.
Oh, we honor her.
Yes.
Heavenly
So that is what started me on my early journey of mammograms.
Okay.
So that is why I'm here today. All praises to God and to my sister that I started taking my mammograms before the age of 40.
Let's say hereditary in the family.
And that's another thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
That's something as black people we don't discuss.
Yes, ma'am.
We do not discuss what the illnesses are in our family.
Yes, ma'am.
It's like cancer is a bad word.
Yes.
And we really need to be more open, more honest, because you can save a lot of lives through early prevention.
Yes. And for you to know that history is there,
right,
that makes it a little bit different. This
right,
is a pressing need for
right,
me because it's now in my genetic footprint.
Exactly,
so
exactly.
It's very different.
And when my doctor told me I needed to start having mammograms every year with my sister's diagnosis, and about 10 years in, I'm like, I gotta do this every year, and every year it's coming back negative.
It's like, wow, well, wasting my time. I don't like that. Yes, yes.
So, and I think back now, before I found out that I had it, I had a little lump on my breast, but it was on the outside. And I'm like, And I worked with 70 nurses, so I would always show one of them.
Okay.
And they said, well, maybe you got a little infection or something, because it was like a pimple.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, well, it ain't nothing. Didn't think nothing of it.
Okay.
Then when I was going to my doctor, when I be checking my breast, I felt something coming out. I'm like, he said, well, is it milky? I said, no, it's kind of thick. He says probably you got an infection in your milk ducts.
Okay.
Okay. Gave me some.
So we feeling around in the dark now.
Feeling around in the dark. So he gave me some medication to take, for infection.
Right.
So I took that, and it seemed like everything was fine. So went ahead my mammogram. Got this letter. We saw something on your mammogram. You need to see a breast surgeon.
Okay.
I'm like, oh Lord Jesus, probably ain't nothing. So I went.
How long did you wait?
Oh, I didn't wait.
Okay. Because that's the message I want to send.
No,
that we got to stop sitting on stuff.
And and sometimes I think back, I wished I would have waited. Well, I could have talked to somebody.
Okay.
That has been through this here look.
To prepare you.
To prepare me, right.
Ooh, that's profound, Miss Gloria.
Yes, but I was scared.
Okay.
Because I know I went through it with my sister, so I know what she had went through.
So let's say that support to have people there, especially for the experience.
It would be excellent. And I don't know why each breast surgeon don't have somebody in their office.
Come on now.
To do that.
Solution.
Yes. If they could have somebody in there, because it's a scary thing.
Yes.
Because I know when I worked for the AIDS clinic, if you got tested and you came back positive,
there was
one person in there. It was a couple of people sitting in there to be able to give you that information.
I love that.
And
have it right in the office.
They have it right there in the office to help you out, because I know I freaked out.
And you know what? It's the perfect tie into mental health.
Yes, exactly.
Isn't that something?
Exactly.
And to say that it does matter, even to have the relieving conversation that I'm anxious.
Yes.
There's fear.
Yes.
I'm human.
I'm human. Of course.
Wow.
I don't care how strong you are or how big and bad you are. When it come to your mortality,
yes, ma'am,
it's a different story.
Life or death.
It's life or death. Yeah. And I knew, and I went through it with my sister with the radiation. She even had the bone marrow transplant. We moved over in Tampa for a couple of months.
Wow. So she fight
for the University of South. She told me she was gonna fight to the end.
Wow.
She was gonna fight to the end.
But here you having seen and experienced this now, like.
And she told me, I want you to know everything I go through. Instead of just saying, because it might happen to you.
Yes, wow.
She never did. She just said, I need you to experience everything I'm going through. I need you to walk with me through this right here. And she give me everything to read, because she was a education hound,
Yes.
And she was always concerned about me being overweight.
Yes.
You know, I want you to, you know, try to
Yes.
lose some weight, you know, this
But
and
she
that.
prepared you.
She prepared me. She prepared me.
Wow.
She prepared me. That's why I say, not saying, you know, you don't try to take care of yourself and do better, but she was correct size, ate good, did everything.
And that's
And
what
had the
we
most
need.
aggressive form of breast cancer.
Wow. So, I mean, that's a powerful message when it's in itself, because I know a lot of people who feel like they're reasonably fit, that they're out of the realm of stuff.
Exactly.
And I'm
that's
telling
not
you,
true.
you're not out of the realm for
No.
mental illness.
No.
You're not out of the realm for
No.
medical illnesses.
No.
Some are more prone,
Right.
but we all are susceptible.
Amen.
I think COVID-19 pretty much put that in check.
Yeah.
I don't care how much money you got.
That's right.
I don't
It
care
don't
how
matter.
fit and fine you
It
are.
don't matter. When death knock on your door, you can't say, yeah, I got this $100,000 or this $1 million. No.
I think COVID-19 put that into perspective.
It don't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Wow.
But like I said, with her diagnosis, I feel like saved my life.
And that's a beautiful testament.
Yeah. Because in 15 years later, he told me that you have some cancer there and we want to go in and check it out. So what they did that year that I found out, you know, I went in the office, they did the little procedure, and he said, well, we're going to wait and see what happens next year with the mammogram. Next year, the mammogram, same thing. Same spot.
Same spot.
Yes, the counselor said, no, it ain't that easy.
Yes.
You know. So that's when he said, I want to take you into the hospital, do a procedure to see exactly where it's at. Yeah. Okay. And that's what he did. And that's when he diagnosed me with ductal carcinoma. And the cancer was in my milk ducts.
Wow.
And
so
that's
it took you right back to where that was.
Yeah, a couple of years earlier.
So let's talk about your treatment.
Well, praise God, I didn't have to do chemo, but I did have to do 32 rounds of radiation.
What was that like?
Every day,
Jesus.
5 days a week, Sundays and Saturdays off.
Wow.
But I had to do it every day. And it was fine, you know, made me a little tired, you know, when I got into it. But 3 days before my last treatments, my skin just peeled off like a rotisserie chicken. I was completely burnt.
My God.
So I'm like, so, you know, we can stop now, right? He said, no, I'm going to give you some salve to put on there. Going. And, you know, we're going to give you a couple of days off. But no, we need to keep going. Wow. So far, you know, I've been...
You've been
clean.
good.
I've been clean.
Sister.
How are you?
In the building.
Yes.
At the table.
Yes.
For another round. As we go higher and higher and higher. Butterflies rise. And tigers roar. That's the theme of this honoring event. 5 and 5. God gave me a vision for 5 cancer survivors. And 5 survivors of domestic violence and abuse. And it's not to glorify the pain, the uncertainty, the disappointment, the myriad of emotions that we go through. But it's the honor, the strength that we have, that a lot of times you don't even know it exists until you have to tap into it.
That's it.
To overcome.
That's it.
But what does that theme say to you as a poet, as a spoken word artist?
So first I want to say thank you so much for having me. And then I want to say, before I answer your question, that God is so amazing at what he does through you. And just how you are able to pour into other women and just be able to ask the right questions.
Yes.
And know exactly what you feel is necessary for people to want to hear that can help people heal. So it is such a blessing to watch you time and time again do what God has called you to do, and for you to be moving in that in your own lane.
Girl,
Listen.
listen,
Listen.
I can't, because
Listen.
every day the endowment, Elena, and a lot of people not going to understand this, but God rests heavily in what he shows me. This is only a smidget. But the visual I'm going to give you helps you understand, because it was key to unlock. The places where we didn't want to go, the places where we couldn't go, the places where we did not understand that we needed to go. God said, be that conduit for the people.
Yes. And he gave you the people to choose that he feel is necessary for these people to expose the enemy. And whatever it is, people might not know these people, but God is using you to call on names, no names,
Amen.
people to reveal real life situations that they have been affected by, and that God has been able to change their situation. So it's a blessing for to be able to just sit with you,
Yes.
you know, and feel the Spirit of God as you open your mouth. Every
Amen.
time you open your mouth. But
Yes.
what I will say, thank God for purpose. Purpose is such a wonderful thing, and we find that when we come into it at a certain point in life. And I had not realized how important purpose was, because what happens is, as people, we just kind of move through this thing, you know. We're born, and then we're taught this, and then we just kind of go along the way. And for me, people wouldn't know, because God has moved in my life so much through me as a vessel, that people won't imagine trials and tribulations that come with, or things that I have overcome. Of course, you know, as a human being, we've all been through something. And I am a survivor of domestic violence. It started for me unconsciously as a teenager, like most women. And I was in a relationship with my teenage boyfriend. You know, the first time that he ever hit me, you know, he cocked back and punched me dead in my face. And like the other lady said, she saw stars. I saw stars.
Yes, I saw you resonate.
Yes,
That resonate with you.
yes, I saw those stars, and I couldn't believe it. And my jaw was stiff, and it was just like a weird experience. But as a young girl, you know, environmentally, or based on, you know, the culture, or however you're coming up, you know, when you're with friends, you know, it's a thing to, when you have a boyfriend and he gets upset and then, you know, he hits you, that's just how he is. Or, you know, a girl, what you did, or you know, and then you and all your friends talk about it, or, you know, girl, he hit me, or girl, I made him mad, and this, that, and the other. And it's a common thing, because it's going on amongst all of your friends. So unconsciously, you don't recognize this as abuse. You don't recognize this as domestic abuse. And then we don't live together, and, you know, but I done left home, you know, I'm running with this guy, and, you know, and this guy he'll hit me, then he made love to me, then he hit me, and then he tell me he was sorry, and, you know, so it was messing me up on the inside. And then when we did part ways eventually, because he got locked up again, and then as a teenager, you know, you just kind of live life.
Yes, you going
and
right
keep
on.
going and keep going. You know, you take the calls, and, you know, you run up your mama phone bill, and but you still going on with life. You got your fast friends who telling you, girl, he got the money, and, you know, so you just get caught up in that what we call, you know, that lifestyle of wanting, or, you know, of not knowing how to be treated. And when you're not up under your mother, because I had the type of mother that I pretty much desired to be like her, because she's so strong, and she was a single mother, but for a certain amount of time until she married my father, who passed away. But I look at her and I was like, oh, I just want to be like my mom. But when we were coming up, it was the type of mama that if she tell you something, it's just do it. Because she told you to. It's no explanations. There's no conversations that you're having. It's just a natural fear of your mother. And, you know, you just do what your mama says. So you don't go to your mother and tell her, hey, you know, DJ hit me.
Right.
You know, you don't have those conversations because you have like a fear of talking to your mother, because your mother established this type of, well, my mom established this type of authority, respect, authority.
I was going to say there's a hierarchy here.
Correct.
And don't come and violate that space.
Correct. So you separate those lives. You have your life of who you are with your mama.
Right.
You have your life of who you are with your friends. And you know, who you are with your friends is a totally different person because you feel like they know you. Like they know you better than your mama and your sister. So,
but that's profound. And I want to say that for young people watching this, because that's the relatability factor. But if we're all resting in the unknowing, we're just passing around myths and misinformation and bad advice and everything else, because we're not introducing, and I say wisdom and understanding.
And this is very common amongst, you know, teenagers and young women and young men, that we all just use our opinions and, you know, the things that we think is best, or a little bit from what we grew up and nobody's really being taught. And, you know, but for me, the reason why I know that, you know, there's a difference between me and my friends, or just me and my sisters. The difference is, you know, when you have a mother or a grandmother, or you have a strong spiritual background, when you got people praying for you and you ain't even nowhere in the area.
Okay,
when you got, you know, calls of worship going up in your favor, and you on the other side of town clubbing and you don't even know what's going on. You know, these are the things. When I was getting beat up or making bad choices, it was the grace that was keeping me and covering me. So as I was growing throughout the years, all those little seeds that had been planted, even though me and mama didn't talk, something was pulling me in a direction where I knew that something wasn't right. You know, it wasn't supposed to be all the way this way.
But I can interject here because I told you this, that there is a spiritual covering.
Yes, absolutely.
Nothing natural. This is supernatural. And I'm saying this for the camera today.
Correct.
For the entire world to know what you have been gifted is straight from above. And God has rested on you the whole time. And He's still resting on you.
Yes, He is.
And He's still waiting to use you completely for His glory. But you're on your way. You see things differently. You're feeling things differently. Things stir within you differently.
And my desire is to please Him. I know that, you know, based on everything I've been through, those times when I was going through, because I didn't even, you know, get into the fact that I actually did get married before, and that was a whole nother different abusive type of situation on a whole nother level. But what I know is that the spiritual calling and the spiritual grace that has been on my life is so strong and so powerful, that even in those times that I could wail out to God, and God would do immediate things for me.
Wow.
He would make immediate changes turn around for me, showing me that I can be an agent for myself when I imagine that, oh God, and I'm crying out to Him some days, you know, because I did, briefly, I'll just say that I did get married, and I was with a Jamaican man, and I have to emphasize Jamaican because I'm American, and the cultures are extremely different.
Play a huge
extremely
role.
Different, and I was introduced to a totally, it was almost like a cultural shock. And then I was with someone who was a very advanced Rastafarian was his culture, and he was very advanced. So I felt like I was under a new teaching of someone who was trying to expose me to a different lifestyle. But the prayer and the grace on me was so strong that I could never really convert. I couldn't convert to anything that was going on. So it was times when I would be in the living room of where he and I live, and I'd just be calling on the name of Jesus, just calling on him, because I wasn't complete. You know, something was missing. I knew that things were not right. My spirit was crying out for some type of rescue. And in that situation, I couldn't see, you know, on the back end what God was doing in me spiritually, but I always was able to recognize, you know what, that I can pray my way through anything.
Absolutely.
You know, I could pray my way. I done got all the way into this situation with this man, and, you know, he's doing this and doing that, and some days are okay. But when them other days come, you know, like one day particularly, which I probably still have the scars, where he pretty much whipped me on my wrist with a butcher knife, and told me to turn my arm over, and he beat me on my wrist with a butcher knife. And I just couldn't imagine, because every time he would go down, it would slice a little bit. And I just couldn't imagine that, you know, somebody could do that. It was so crazy to me. But I went through those things, and I didn't tell anyone, because for some reason what I thought he and I had was like love.
Mm-hmm.
It was so strong because his influence on me was so strong. It was like a stronghold.
Yes.
You know, and I was blind. I couldn't see. Like, I literally could not see anything in that time but my prayers and my faith and my spirituality. It just kept me connected to never completely stray away. I have a poem that says, I would sway, but I could never completely stray away.
Wow.
Yeah, experience will teach us if we're willing to learn. You can go through the fire and come out without a burn. And it's true. It's true, because the thing is, remember when the Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego walked in the fire, in the furnace, and they were there.
Yes.
You know,
in the midst of all the elements.
And the man say, I see somebody. He said, I see a fourth person. Looks like, and that's how it was for me.
Yes.
I was in the fire.
I love that.
You know, and the Son of Man was there the whole time.
And I'm going to say, God showed up for me many times as a presence, as a being. Even about the calling here. It was like we were having a conversation. So when I tell people, when you hear the voice of God, you're going to know.
Oh, yes.
When God's presence is around you or about you, you're going to know. It's no mistaking. And the conversation was very clear. The mandate was very clear. So God is always right there, especially for those he has chosen. But he's not going to choose for us. That's when the strongest drawing and the pulling and everything else is saying to you, are you going to align? Because see, I was prophesied over when I was early 20s. I laughed at the lady. So there has been many things said and done to show me my gift and where I was going. Didn't want it. Didn't want any part of it. But in the meantime, see, that's how when God has his hand on you, you will go through. But he only let it go so far.
That's it.
The attacks on my life, he only let it go so far. Yes, Audrey. Oh, finally. How long has it been?
Oh my Lord.
I know we
It's been a
talked.
while.
We had like 5-hour conversation. I had to pull off to the side, and I was like, "Oh
Yes,
man!"
indeed.
But it felt so good to talk to you.
Yes, indeed.
Wow. So how have you been?
I've been doing good. Been doing good. You know, I have to keep telling myself that I'm doing good, because the blessing, you know, you spent some hours with me at my shop,
Yes.
and I lost my shop, got sick, and one day I said to my husband, and it wasn't what I said to him at that moment, it was what the Holy Spirit had said to me. And I was feeling so bad, I was so weak. But the Holy Spirit revealed that you're going to live and not die.
Yes.
And what I gave you was not yours.
Mm.
So you just better get on up. And I sat in that chair, and I have a little table, because you know I'm used to commercial stuff.
Yes.
The big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him then, back to what I said to him, pick that machine up and put it right here. And so I have been sewing since.
Wow.
Through my healing, I call it.
Yes.
With the simplest things, and that's the mask. So
That's amazing.
that's what I've been doing.
And then it hit me to call you about the children. So you've just
Yeah.
branched out in
Yeah.
so many different dimensions, but your expertise in that, and that it also brings you joy.
Yes. Yes.
That's
indeed.
just something that's not gonna go away.
It's not going to go away, because I just tried to walk away from it, and it's something that God just already let me know that how can you do
Yes.
that when it wasn't your gift? It's what I gave you,
Amen.
and so
And
with that,
in
I'm
each
grateful
season, we
Yeah.
can really use our gifts differently.
for that. Differently. That's it.
So it's you figuring
That's it.
out in this season.
Mhm.
And
That's
then,
it, most definitely. And one of the things that has been coming to mind when I was in design school, and I went to design school way after I was sewing,
yes.
and what it did, it intimidated teachers. My teacher, my mentor, she told me, she says, you're one of the students that I have that's gonna have to get it through grit, hard work, and you're gonna have to learn how to turn on a dime.
Wow.
So, in other words, I had to just learn how to shift, make it work. When designs was slow, then guess what? I was in interior decorating.
Yes.
Or event planning. So just with the gifts that God had given me, you know,
So you were
And
always
so-
kind of reinventing yourself.
reinventing myself
That's beautiful.
at every opportunity.
And the gifts are very evident. I've been able to watch it. And what's so seamless for you, I was over there like,
Yes.
pattern. Like, oh my God.
What to do?
Yes. And you come over like, it's no problem. I'm screaming like, yes it is. This is not normal.
Yeah.
But that's how you know when you're operating in your gift.
Yes.
Because it's very seamless.
Yes.
That's so very beautiful. All right, so you're actually our feature for November. And we had a conversation. I reached out to you to talk about how you honored your son inside of mental illness and
Yes.
trauma. And
Yes.
we're going to delve into that
Mhm.
when we interview in the very near future. But let's talk about your survival story.
Oh my goodness.
Battle
Yes,
scars.
Battle Scars. Yes, I am the author of Battle Scars of Emotions, Divine Healing from the Scars of Life. And what's so ironic about my battle scars, or my project I call it, that have turned into a passion.
Yes.
I am a preacher, so don't get me started
Oh,
preaching, okay?
you can get started. You can get started.
But one of the things that I have to just kind of reel myself in so that I can stay a little bit focused. But Battle Scars, one of the things that was just so ironic about the book itself first,
Okay.
is that when the Holy Spirit, I felt when He gave it to me, it was more or less get out of bed and kick me. I ended up on the floor. And it was like, what I've given you, you know, can't nobody else share what I've given you
Yeah.
better than you. And with that, it was lessons in it that I had to learn in going through stuff, because I was hearing the ladies talking about the anger and all of that. Oh yeah, I had that too. But the one thing I had going for me
Yes.
in my healing, and that I did not even know about, is that I had to learn how to give God praise.
Mm.
And then at the end of that praise, or that cycle, or that chapter, I had to learn how to claim the victory.
Yes.
Because like everyone else, you know, you go through this cycle, just a total cycle, you know, one relationship after another. It's the same, but it's different.
Yes.
And
But the elements are there.
But the elements are there. And I found myself, you know, just, and we was talking about the healing before we talk about the other stuff, because that other stuff was just so horrific. The healing, I would say, Okay, God, I don't understand. I praise you anyhow.
Mm.
All right, okay, praise you. Okay, praise you. But I was angry.
Yes.
But I'm praising you anyhow, Lord.
So your spirit is not matching.
It was not matching at all.
Wow.
It was not matching. And so I could never get to the victory.
Amen.
Never get to the victory. So my story is almost, I want to say 49 years.
Wow. Strong survivor.
Strong survivor. Strong survivor. And never thought that I would be in this type of platform. But I knew that what was inside of me, I would not let him or them or they take it and control it. After I says, you could beat my body.
Yes.
You could do what you want to do. But there's a little chamber in this little stubborn mind that you would never get hold to the key to that closet.
Yes.
And that's what kept me.
Wow.
That stubbornness, that fortitude, that tenacity to
Resilience.
just keep on, that
Yes.
resilience to keep on going. And then when we got to the point, back to I have two my stories, and I always say they're the bookends.
Okay.
So my first story of when I was first abused, I didn't know what domestic abuse, and back in the 70s it was the domestic abuse.
Yes.
You know, they didn't really talk about the DV but anyway, my story, we was living in Homestead. I just got married at 16
Wow.
and visited my mom that weekend
At 16.
at 16.
Wow. With consent?
My mother did have to consent.
Wow.
But see, that's the thing. This is what this Battle Scars book about.
Okay.
I'm telling you, so
Okay.
many. Ooh,
Because I'm
goodness.
stuck right there.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
like, wow.
Well, let me just say a little something about that at 16. Well, date rape, pregnant. Date rape, date rape, pregnant.
Wow.
So my grandmother says,
That's my story.
you not going to bring no shame to this family. So you better get married.
Wow.
So then the other part of the story was, I'm making my little white dress. She says, none of my people will be invited to this wedding. You are not going to wear a white dress. Here's this 16-year-old mine. My picket fence. You know how we put these thoughts there and all this wishful thinking.
It's going to be beautiful.
That this is going to be my first and only marriage. I'm going to make all of that other stuff go away.
Now, mind you, I'm stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to clarify.
Oh, yeah.
That this is to your rapist.
This is to my rapist.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. This was to my rapist. It was the battle of the best evils.
Yes, I got you. But look at the mind playing that.
It was the best of the two evils because I said, okay, we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to go and get married. I'm just going to do this thing.
Yes.
He was 18. We married. But that was to get me away from the other abuse that I was dealing with even before that.
And that's within the family.
That was within the family.
That's very clear.
That was
I
within the family.
love the way you played that too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. So with that, and then you this your goddaddy. Well, no, I don't want to go to goddaddy. And then it was go to the preacher. He wants to talk to you. Well, he's touching me in the wrong places. And so on that church ground, my grandmother slapped me because I did not want to go to see to see what the pastor wanted, because I knew he was going to touch me in the wrong places.
And then at that age and time, you couldn't give voice to that. Wow.
So fast forward, date rape, pregnant, married. So grandmother said, okay, my people are not coming to your wedding. Fast forward to that, after I did not, feel, okay, let me just go and do this little house wedding and be through with it. And that same pastor married me. Yes, ma'am.
So you stood before him on your wedding day.
On my wedding day.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
And he went through that like nothing.
Nothing.
Jesus.
Nothing. This is why my ministry has been so strong towards teenage girls.
I got
I'm going to fast forward just a little bit more.
you. Yes.
So that night, we were early married. He had went to the service and he was on home and got stationed in Homestead. We got an apartment and stuff. So we were coming back to Miami to hang out for the weekend. We get to Miami and the friend, his best friend, girlfriend pulled me aside. She thought I was someone else. Lo and behold, he was down there several times at his best friend's house seeing someone else, which was his old girlfriend. Oh yes, it's in the book, Battle Scars of Emotions. So with that story, with that night, she says, I'm so sorry, I thought you were the girl that was here, the other weekend. I didn't know it was you. Because she called me this girl's name. So I sat there and, this was during house party time. So when the party was over with, we had to go back to my mother's house to get my son. And I was angry.
Of course.
I says, you not only stole me, and that's what I used to tell him, you not only stole me, you also end up making me miss my prom, but you still went to the prom.
Right.
And so then I said to him, and then you come down here on the weekends, or up here, because we was in Homestead, you come up here on the weekends and
No, you unfaithful.
you unfaithful with your, and we wasn't even married 6 months. It wasn't even, barely 6 months. So I was fussing with him about it to let him know that I was uncomfortable about it, hurt, upset, and, I said, well, if you want the little, you can have her. That is when my first abuse situation happened. And he beat me so bad that only thing that I knew of one eye was a little lash. The other one was closed, so that one that I could peek through the mirror to see what was messing with my nose, it was my lip. And so and he was a wrestler, high school wrestler. He won all city. So, he just was all this. And he took every lick, everything. And I was just trying to get into the back seat, and I was all over my son. He's crying. He, don't know what's going on. Well, that story led to we get home, back to Homestead, and we get there, and he says, come home from work the next day, and he says, you want some ice cream? Well, tell me, how can I eat some ice cream?
Your lip.
My lip was still touching my nose. The top of my lip was still touching my nose. It was so swollen. I says, no, I don't want anything. I just want to call my mother.
We would like to thank our sponsors. The House of Love Billionaires. Coretta Talbot. Coretta speaks life. Harris Boys Photography. Sweet Peas Unique Design.
3 Black Beauty Boutique offers you the finest in African soaps that exfoliate, heals, and promotes healthy skin. For healthy hair that is moisturized and conditioned, we offer the best in shampoos, conditioners, and oils. Body oils that make you smell refreshed, bold, and sensual, and they last all day. We also have body butters that leave your skin feeling silky smooth and refreshed. We offer wax melts and room sprays. Check out our page and contact us today for your order.
Young men of distinction.
And I have Vel P, who's filming for me.
Just finished my photo shoot with Vel P Entertainment, and I am so pleased with Vel P Production.
Here doing it with Vel P Entertainment.
We're both having our mojo moment, like the exhale, that good stuff, because the conversation off camera with you has been so powerful.
Thank you.
But you are a special recognition. You are my tug on my heart consideration, and to reconnect with you, to rekindle and get a sense of where you are. I mean, I'm mind blown. I am literally, and it's hard to do,
Blown away.
speechless. But it's so beautiful. And we could, in a sense, me more than you, see you here. But to have you here and the journey and everything else that it took for you to get here. So I'm honoring you up front right now, because I know. I know in a way that others do not know. But I've had the honor. And let me back up a little bit, because I asked everybody about this, setting the tone for the honoring service, but 5 and 5. Mm-hmm. And with the emphasis on the cancer challenges and the domestic violence and abuse in that way, but the theme, because you've been able to hear it now several times. So I want you to take on Butterflies Rise and Tigers Roar. Because that's still so very proud. I get chills when I say it. Mm-hmm. But what do you think about that?
It's a common word that we've used tonight. It's very profound.
Yes.
Butterflies go through unimaginable transformations.
Yes, they do. In stages.
You go from being a caterpillar to being pupa to being a butterfly, but what does that take? I don't just see it as a transformation of form. I see that of energies, of life.
Yes.
Caterpillars sleep for weeks to become butterflies, and still then they have to break through their pupa.
Have you ever watched those videos?
Yes.
And you see them like fighting.
Yes.
To get all of this stuff wrapped around, and I could but I could see myself in the throes of the dysfunction and everything else that we faced. We're fighting.
Yep.
To break free. But oh, when we do.
Oh man, those wings.
Woo!
Beautiful.
Even the color.
Yes.
The aura. All of it. I said there could be no better analogy.
None at all. And then you said, tigers roar.
Yes.
It's more than a roar. They growl.
Mm.
It's that deep. It's like you feel it in your soul. You know when a tiger is around, you can feel it in the ground. It rumbles.
Yes.
It makes its presence known.
Even the projection echoes.
It's amazing to me. I like to see myself as a butterfly, but also a tiger.
And I said I had to find a balance of both.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you're saying that. Because sometimes I need it to be just as gentle and free and everything else. But sometimes for my mainstay, my sanity, my sake of surviving,
Yes.
I had to learn how to roar.
Yes.
I had to learn how to rise up and stand up. And I had to learn how to advocate for myself.
Absolutely.
I think it takes a little bit of both. And inside of survivorship, we find typically both. Not too timid, not too strong, just enough to get us through and get over.
Yep.
So that's so beautiful. Woo! It's gonna get deep.
Ooh, I can feel it already. I got the goosebumps.
All right, share a little bit about yourself, whatever you'd like the people to know.
Well, my name is Criselda. I'm 28 years old, and I have been living with a form of walking depression for a majority of my life, and I've kind of been very passive with it. Just, it's okay. I'll get over it. Knowing later on that I wasn't getting over it.
It was getting worse.
It was getting worse. It was getting to the point where I just didn't want to be myself anymore. And I fell out of love with myself, with how God saw me,
Yes.
how I was put into this world. I wasn't worthy.
And that was your theme, that was your message.
That's how I walked around for so many years. I'm not worthy.
So in a sense, you were abusing yourself.
Yes.
That's mental, emotional, all of it. Because we can beat ourselves up with our words and our thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't realize that.
Yeah.
You're self-abusing.
Exactly. We can cause our own trauma without even realizing it.
Absolutely.
And sometimes realizing it.
Perfect caveat. That's absolutely true. And that takes a moment to even digest that. Self-abusing. Because we are so adamant about abusers being held accountable. And this being outed.
Yeah.
And justice. But what do we do?
When it's ourselves.
When it's us? Where's the accountability in that?
Exactly.
What would you say to the self-abuser, having been one and now reconcile those issues in that regard?
Someone earlier this year told me that when you are feeling the lowest of your lows, to honor your emotions. Honor yourself in those emotions.
Even the bad ones.
Even the bad ones.
Because that's your reality.
Yes.
How many times do we try not to do that?
All day, every day, if possible.
Like, I'm upset, but I need to put on this whole show for you while I'm dying inside.
Exactly.
What's wrong with me saying I'm not okay? So I can get the help that I need.
Exactly.
But that's a strong psyche. Our brain is tricky. I said
Yes,
our brain
it
is
is.
clever. And it will have us whole conversation, whole show, and it's fraudulent.
Mm-hmm.
It's demeaning.
Yep. You can go around
It's debilitating.
putting a mask on
Yes.
with a smile plastered across your face. Everything is perfect.
And then cajole yourself into believing that when it's furthest from the truth.
Exactly.
And that's when we eventually find ourselves in major depression,
Yes.
anxiety overload,
Oh, yes.
suicidal ideations.
Mhm.
The brain, our emotive ability, it has a cutoff.
Yes.
We can only take so much.
We should only take so much.
And we're doing it. I need people to hear it. In many instances, to ourselves.
Yes.
So that's a stronghold that really needs to be broken. Because if we're going to ever win the fight out there against the issues, the principalities, the war, if we're ever going to win out there, we have got to conquer
Yes.
in here.
Yes.
There's no other way.
Not at all. It's just, I'm at a loss for words. I had the thought right there in my head. I knew exactly what I was going to say in the moment. You said holding ourselves accountable. I completely lost it.
But that's huge. Because we don't want to do that. Because even in a victimized state, we play victim well.
Yes.
We learn how to engage and safeguard the victim role. That's how a lot of people stay stuck. Feeling empathy. Disconnected.
Yes.
Sometimes sympathy. Oh, woe is me. None of that allows you to say, I made a poor decision in this choice of this person, or this relationship, or this situation. I made the wrong choice.
And even so, there are moments when we are saying these things, yet we look at ourselves in the mirror and we're like, you did it, but I don't forgive you for it.
So we're not even forgiving ourselves.
We can say it out loud. I did this thing to myself. Yeah, I agree. It was wrong. I shouldn't have done that. And then you walk away knowing that it's still hanging heavy over your head because you are holding the guillotine.
Wow.
That was common here. Someone said forgiveness is the hardest thing that you can do. I believe it was Monique. And I agree. But you know what's even harder than forgiving someone else? It's forgiving you.
Yes.
A long time ago, we had a Sip and Create, my very first ever with you.
Yes.
And we created books.
I remember I forgive myself.
And the first page was I forgive myself. Do you know that I didn't believe it? I wrote it down and everything. I read it back, even when the book was full to the brim. I didn't believe it. That was something that I chewed, but I didn't swallow.
Wow.
I didn't believe those words. I forgive me. Really?
Yes.
You know,
But catch this. Forgiveness of self now requires change behavior.
there it is.
So if we want to stay here, if we're comfortable here, that's why we don't want to hold ourselves accountable. We have to change.
Yes.
That's work.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
That's work. But that's true healing. Because nothing about a broken bone is going to heal on its own.
Yes.
You're going to have to go get that x-rayed. You're going to have to get that reset.
Yep.
Cast, whatever is going on.
For however long.
Monitored period of healing time. Get it off. What do you have? Therapy now?
Gotta figure out how to work it. What's new?
Nothing is simple about it.
Nothing.
But we beat ourselves up for years.
But I mean, whoever told us to believe that change would be simple?
That's innately something within us. Because it pacifies us.
Yep.
And sometimes we feel we can get away with not changing. Everybody out there needs to change.
I don't. I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm so good.
I only have a problem when y'all come around.
It's not true.
Absolutely not. Horrible, debilitating message, but still we do it. Because I've rested in it.
Yep.
And I've shunned people away when I didn't want to deal.
I call that stagnation.
Yes, ma'am. In my worst broken state, I didn't want the logic. I didn't want the wisdom. I didn't want you to show up with all that. That's why I know you have to meet people where they are.
Yep.
I don't want to hear all of that.
That's not what I want right now.
No. Okay, some of this is okay. Just fix the bad part.
Yep. Just, you know that little piece that I'm giving you? Please take it and give me advice on it. Nothing else.
Nothing else. You're going way too far.
Okay. I invited you into the kitchen for one meal, not for you to examine the whole kitchen.
Woo, you done made a whole meal. Well, I told you to have a snack. You done went in my kitchen and made a whole meal.
How dare you?
How dare you? Wow. So let's talk about your story. What did we overcome? And what was that journey like?
In general or specific?
Whatever you like.
So I've overcome, I would like to say, a lot. Deaths in the family that were very important to my childhood and who I am today. Finding out that I had a brain tumor.
How old were you?
I don't remember how old I was, but I know what year it was.
Okay.
In 2015. Sitting there at the chair, he said, you may have a brain tumor. And I said, oh, really? That's fun. I left there completely oblivious to the fact that I was losing my eyesight in both eyes. That I had something foreign, the size of an onion, growing in my brain.
So this is pressing on your optic nerves and all.
Everything that in this area. It's technically called a pituitary tumor. And listen, the pituitary gland is like the size of a pea. So imagine something the size of an onion growing around it, compressing everything in that area.
But the pituitary gland promotes growth.
Yes.
So it's probably feeding right into.
Yep.
Wow.
Stunting everything else, mental health, hormonal health, everything. Stunting everything and then feeding into it like, feed me, Seymour.
Right. Wow.
Not only that, but having to deal with a passive mom. And I call her passive and using special words because my mom was not a nurturer.
You talked a lot about that.
Yes.
When you're polar opposite.
Yes. I am the nurture you until you suffocate. You're going to feel this nurturing. My mom was just like, my mom is just like, no. You stay there.
Yes.
Pat, I love you. Maybe.
Is that cultural?
I think it just has to do with like
her personality.
Yeah, going down the line of women, strong women in the family.
Okay.
And that's their personality.
Okay.
But she was never really present when I had issues. I couldn't really go to her if there was something bothering me because she would always say, "You act like I don't know you."
Wow. So I don't need you to tell me all that.
Yeah.
I don't need your emotions. No. I know what you... Wow.
Yep. Just, you can zip it because I know who you are. So what you're going through is just emotion. You don't have to worry about it. It's cool.
You'll be all right.
The equivalent of you be all right. And so I went through life raising myself.
Nurturing yourself.
Yeah.
Consoling yourself.
The best way I knew how, and I'll tell you honestly, I didn't. I didn't know how when I was hurt or when I was sad or when I was angry. I didn't know how to tell myself, Criselda, it is okay. Not until I was 27 years old last year.
Wow.
In, I think it was September, October, I sat down in my bed at 4 a.m. because I swore I heard my brother's voice, and my brother passed in 2009, so that's important. And I was profusely crying, and I said, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? And that oh my God was like Hail Mary, and it opened up the floodgates to something new, and I said, speak to me, Lord, because I just can't anymore. Please.
I know that statement. I can't do it. I'm so over this.
And it brings tears to my eyes, and it's okay now.
Yes, but going through it.
You know what I heard?
What's that?
The little girl that you have locked away in the deepest section of you. Go down the stairs. Unlock that door and love on that little lost girl.
She needs you.
Yeah. So quickly I pulled open a picture of myself at that age where I was very lost and confused. We moved states. My dad left. My brother was on drugs. It was just a wild ride. And I looked at myself and I said, I need you. to tell me what it is that you need from me right now in this moment, so that I can help heal you. Do you believe me, Sabrina, that I felt myself hugging myself in such a way that I tell everyone it was God?
Absolutely.
The warmth, the goosebumps.
Everything you've been crying out for, literally.
Right there.
Wow. In that moment.
Yeah.
That's that breakthrough moment, and everybody who's spoke on this particular panel has had a breakthrough.
Yes, ma'am.
So
and
we
it's all been
honor
through
her.
him.
Absolutely. And only God, when we talk about soul healing, and we talk about going to the depths of dysfunction and despair and breaking down the cycles and building people up, it requires supernatural.
Yes.
Nothing is natural about it.
Yes.
So when people tell me that you talk about God all the time, I owe everything to him.
Everything that I am is because of him. Because he waited for me to come back to where he left me. Because I decided to choose my own path. I said, well, God, you laid this path out for me, but I don't feel like it fits me right now.
You're right.
So I walked away. And listen, when I tell you the enemy is right around the corner,
Yes.
he was right there. He said, and I said, I don't know how to deal with this.
Yes. Because, to be honest, Griselda, we're not supposed to be out here on our own.
No,
We're
we are not.
supposed to be under the ark of safety. And when we go out, we suffer the consequences. Take a wise.
Yes.
How you doing, Tom?
I'm good. I'm great. Awesome.
Say that again.
I'm awesome.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. I love it. So 5 and 5 survivors. Cancer, we kind of emphasized breast cancer, but it's any type of cancer, and you're going to see that as a part of this show. In addition to domestic violence and abuse awareness, also called intimate partner violence. We're going to focus on that as well, which is why you have a seat at the table. You blessed me with your story. How many hours did I spend at your house?
A few.
Woo! So, I know, but all I can say is get ready. But the theme of this event, annual honoring service, is Butterflies Rise and Tigers Roar. So when I say that to you, how does that resonate in your spirit? How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel, like I said, a caterpillar. You start off as a caterpillar and you turn into a butterfly. Whatever you go through, don't let it keep you down. It's going to build you up. It's actually building you up to make you better.
Beautiful. And that's actually the entire concept. And I'm going to share with each person that I interview. But the butterfly stages. And you're absolutely right. And it's a process. But you see how beautiful that butterfly is?
Oh, yes.
And as soon as it escapes the shedding and everything of the process, what does it do?
You take off.
It take off.
That's right.
And I said the tiger roars because a survivor is some kind of different strength. That's not natural.
Yeah.
And you think about a tiger in the jungle, even when they roar, what does everyone do? Woo! They take notice.
Yes.
And that's when you overcome the very thing that was meant to take you out of here.
That's right.
Or it was meant to shift your life in a different way. That's when we roar. So we're going to rise. And we're going to roar.
Right.
All right, so don't purr. Peanuts and, I done had just about everything you have to offer, but your spaghetti, by the way, is amazing. But tell the people about you personally, whatever you'd like, and then tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay. Well, I am 46 years old, and I started my business because of what I've been through.
Wow, I didn't know that.
That's how I actually started. I
I was in a domestic relationship with a guy for 3.5 years.
Okay.
And I suffered some abuse from him. I kept it quiet from everybody. I didn't tell anybody. And one of the things people like to say, why did you just didn't leave? People don't leave because of a couple of reasons.
Yes.
I know for me, I didn't leave because I felt like I loved this person. I didn't want to be embarrassed of another failed relationship.
Yes.
And I felt like I could change the person.
Absolutely.
And a lot of the times I kept a lot of the stuff, well, the whole time I kept everything secret from everybody.
So let's pause for a minute, because I call it re-victimization when people ask questions that I say are poor etiquette.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people are asking from a place of really not knowing.
That's right.
So when we're educating people as a part of this, we are truly saying, first of all, the questions like, why did you, are not really necessary. They're just extra unnecessaries that we need to stop.
Yeah.
What you can do if you know a person during that time is show up and say what you need.
That's right.
Now, why didn't you? Because a lot of stuff that made sense through my throes of domestic violence and abuse, it made perfect sense then.
Mm-hmm.
But we sit back now, we be like, what?
Exactly.
What's I thinking?
Yeah.
But you couldn't tell me any different then.
That's right.
Because that was my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And you said something else that I'm going to emphasize. And that's when you're in these relationships, you feel like you love.
Yeah.
And to be honest, you may love, but it's the person who's not loving you right that is the problem.
Yes.
I know a lot of women, you loving just fine.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing they're doing wrong is you're not loving yourself.
Yeah.
Because when you start loving yourself, when we get you there, you're going to realize that they are not loving you.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got decisions to make.
Yeah.
So how did this turn into a business? Were you not able to do what you did before, or?
Yes. What happened is, okay, like I said, I was in that relationship, and I prayed to God many a nights to please remove me from this situation. I know this is not where you want me to be. You know, release this hold this person have on me. It's like God spoke to me and gave me a date. And on that date, that's when I left him. I left everything. I left him alone completely. And I still wasn't going to tell anybody about what happened to me during that time. But God made a way that I had to. What happened when I was in the relationship, I was hit in the head. And I didn't get medical attention or anything. I didn't tell anybody. And I started with the runny nose.
Okay.
And I did that for like over 1.5 years, going back and forth to the doctor. And finally, when I started opening up and telling people, you know, what was happening to me in the relationship, I told my best friend, which she works in the hospital. And she said, you know what, that's probably why you have a runny nose. She said, you probably have something going on with your brain. And that's when I went to a doctor, and that's exactly what he said. He said that I had a CSF leak, which is spinal fluid coming from my brain out of my nose.
Let me ask you this. There's two things I want to ask. First of all, what were you hit with?
I was hit with a cell phone, something simple as a cell phone. But he hit me so hard that he broke the membrane in my brain.
Oh, wow.
So it was like right in the front of my forehead.
And immediately, initially, you didn't realize
No, because it was just, I was bleeding a lot, and it went away. When it went away, it just was this little cut. But I started having headaches, and I started with the runny nose. And I was going to the doctor, but they kept misdiagnosing me as having allergies. I never told anybody about the head, because I never associated that with that. Yeah. So when I started opening up and telling my friend about, okay, this is what was happening to me when I was in this relationship, and that's when she said, okay, you need to go see somebody.
It sounds like your willingness to open up saved your life.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yes. Because like I said, I wasn't planning on telling nobody.
Okay. For the individuals who are in the throes of silence,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't speak for everybody, but I want you to speak for why you felt you wanted to keep this a secret.
Like I said, I was embarrassed that I allowed myself to be in a situation like that, because everybody see me as a strong, independent person. Excuse me. And I was with somebody else for years before I got with him, and I was married for a short period of time. So I didn't want to feel like it was going to be another failed relationship.
Okay.
So I didn't want people to judge me. I didn't want retaliation towards him either. I just told God to remove him. He was gone. I was done. And I felt like, okay, I'm out of there. I don't have to worry about it no more. So that's why I was going to keep it a secret. I wasn't going to tell nobody.
So that's the amazing part of the cycle of abuse. All that goes on, that there is a psyche, there is a mindset that we have to sacrifice everything about ourselves to protect everybody else. And to be honest, that's a womanly trait, misplaced inside of domestic violence and abuse. Because we do sacrifice. We sacrifice for our spouses. We sacrifice for our children. We're always sacrificing. But I tell a person, I want you to visualize standing in a line. And you at the back of the line. Because this is what we do to ourselves. But my God, if you just turn around, where are you? You're at the front of the line.
That's right. You said something when you first started. Self-loving yourself. Learning how to self-love yourself.
And through a series we just did, when I asked the question, who taught you how to love yourself? People be looking at me like, do we teach that? Do we have those conversations? Because I can say as innocently as it may have been on my parents, even in the church, I heard love is patient, love is kind, love is forgiving, all of these things that love is. But who taught me how to love Sabrina? Because if I had learned how to love Sabrina and knew that I had purpose, it would have been completely different. Now you've given me a solid foundation to stand on. That's why I'm bringing this out. So until we know better, what do? We lean on exactly what we have and what we know. So I'm saying today, Queen, you get a pass. You get a pass for standing in the way that you knew how. Because I believe if we honor people for their broken places, they will want to heal. Instead of us highlighting like, girl, that don't make no sense. And I say, girl, yes it does. When you're in it.
That's right.
This is how we teach people to come out of it. So I'm resting in that thing this moment. Because you know what? I co-signed you. I was going to fix it because I was a fixer.
Oh, yeah. That's
I was going to figure it out. Oh, we going to do this and we going to do that and we going to stage this and oh, he going to make it.
And even afterwards, you feel like I fixed it. I fixed it. It's over with. It's done. But God had other plans.
And now we know we can't fix anything.
That's right.
It's even a challenge to fix things in our life, isn't it? So I was sitting there saying to myself, how in the world? And then I couldn't fix half of what I didn't know. I didn't know what was in his background. Because you see, I didn't ask all them questions.
That's right.
What did I? Oh, he looked kind of, he's mad. When you go on a date, do you ask somebody about their mental history? Their family history? No, what we talk about? Where you like to go, what you like to eat, where we gonna travel. You got a whole line of mental illness, you don't know nothing about it. You got all kind of throws, maybe substance abuse, social drinking. We don't realize what we're setting ourselves up for.
Exactly, especially when people come, like you said, from different backgrounds from you. They never had love. They didn't have parents to love them, so they don't know like what love is. Like me, I never was around abuse. My parents never cussed at each other, fought, so this was new to me. Yes. I never, So like you said, people when you get with people who wasn't raised that way. Yes. So it's hard, and then you want to be the fixer. You want to be the fixer. You want to be able to show them, this is what love is.
And here's what I want you to know that God showed me. God showed me that we have to stop trying to get with people and dictate to them. What we do is show up, and we be a positive support. Girl, you want to talk? Okay. You don't want to talk? Okay, just sit down. I'm here. I sat there with people, and it's just been silence. You know that uncomfortable silence?
Yes.
And then after 30 minutes, they'll start breaking completely down. It was like, I was waiting for you to go.